Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Monday so far. I think it's Monday. Yeah, Monday. Hopefully everyone's having a great second day of June. Finally in June now. Felt pretty long for May, not gonna lie. May was one of the longer months for me because I had so much to do. But let's see what we have here in the chat. We had Caleb. Caleb's now at baseball. We do have Sam Capybara, as well as Grumpy Grandpa, Pete, Northeast Weather, Bob, Aaron, Kaylee, and Maury Ponderosa as well, all in the chat, as well as welcome everyone else who is watching, may not be chatting, or if I missed you, glad to have you in here, Trail, as well. Let's go ahead and switch on over to our main screen. Hopefully everything looks good to go. Yep, looks like we are good to go. Glad to have you in here, Zachary, as well. So, yeah, a lot of severe weather today. Only one tornado warning so far. And ironically, it was not inside the 2% chance for tornadoes. It was actually where I pointed out in my video earlier this afternoon. I pointed out the chance for a tornado in the panhandle of Texas. And that's actually where we've had our only tornado warning of the day so far. Most likely will change as we go later down the line, especially over like the next 2 to 3 hours. We could get a spin up tornado, but I don't think we'll see much of a tornado threat today. I'm not expecting a lot. Let's see here. How do y'all have XP? I don't have the community thing. I don't have control over that at all. Just a heads up, that's YouTube's in. That's everything that YouTube's doing with their platform. That ain't my end. They control all that, and their screwed up XP system, because it's very screwed up. So all these severes currently in the enhanced risk for severe weather, they're starting to intensify. Up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. The SPC's mesoscale discussion from earlier today, I don't know if it's still out, but they mentioned the potential for upwards of 100 mile per hour winds. Yes, it is indeed still out. Here's that MCD. So you can see convection is expected to intensify over the next 1 to 2 hours. That is right now. It was expected to intensify from like 5:30 to about 7:30 Eastern. You can see a highlighted area of 80 to 90 mile an hour wind gust likely, and their wind tag is actually, my pen isn't here. I gotta reopen my pen. Their wind tag here, peak intensity upwards of 100 miles per hour with this area, specifically in that black hatched area. You see that 100 mile per hour MCD there. That so far has not verified. Let's go ahead and check on where the location is of that. Yeah, so we don't have too much longer to go for that MCD. I mean, really just this small section, like right in here, that's left of the MCD, and that's it. So still little area, but right now we're only seeing about 50 to 60 mile an hour winds there. So I don't think that's going to verify. They were very aggressive with their wind text today, and I'm not too sure why. Like, they even put out that enhanced risk for damaging winds, which shocked me quite a lot. I was not expecting a enhanced risk. Matter of fact, yesterday, last night, this area was under a marginal. So he went from a marginal to an enhanced risk in a matter of about 24 hours out here in Kansas and Oklahoma. So that's quite the jump. That's quite the uptrend. Tornado threat though out here less than 2%, but yeah, they did a very aggressive move here and pulled a 30 significant trigger out here, which means damaging winds of 80 plus mile per hour winds will be likely in that red hatched area. But we're yet to see a single destructive. I don't know if we'll ever see a destructive severe in that. I do think there is a possibility for 80 mile an hour winds. But the SPC said 90 mile an hour winds, 80 to 90 mile an hour winds likely, which is very aggressive wording. I do want to draw your attention over to satellite imagery for just a split moment. This is going to be something very interesting. This is actually the main reason why I wanted to go live. There is a very intense boundary that is set up right here, and these storms are going to absolutely explode off of that boundary for the next hour or two. They are rapidly intensifying right now. Like, we are talking the severes out here in central Nebraska in the last 30 minutes. In the last 30 minutes alone, they went from literally nothing to producing 1.75 inch hail. So these things are absolutely blowing up in terms of intensity, especially with hail, also damaging winds. Tornado threat up here, it should be very minimal, really very minimal across the board today. Can't rule out a spin up tornado somewhere, specifically in Nebraska, northeastern Colorado today, but it's very unlikely. It's not something we're really expecting today. So let me go over to weather-wise here. So severe watch is still out up here in Minneapolis, or rather a county to the northwest of Minneapolis for the next 2 hours. These storms will be continuing to weaken as they approach downtown Minneapolis here in about an hour or so. Could get an isolated severe storm still, as you could see out here for Renville, still in a severe for 2-inch hail. So isolated severe storm or two still remains possible over the next hour or so, but that threat is overall diminishing right now. These storms just now starting to get going all the way from southwestern Minnesota, all the way back out here. Let me go ahead and just do that. There you go. All the way back out into southwest Nebraska. That's where your little line, your little front is located there. And we're just going to see those storms rapidly intensify. Mainly big time hail, potentially as large as like 2.5 inch in diameter being the biggest issue. Could see some gusts up to 70 miles per hour. And then, like I said, isolated tornado is possible. Take a look at your SPC outlook once again. There's your very large risk for severe weather. Marginal all the way back up to the Ontario, northern Minnesota border. Marginal goes all the way back down into New Mexico, southwest Texas, and then back into Oklahoma, northwestern Missouri as well. That slight risk level 2 out of 5 for severe weather stretches all the way from central Minnesota. They actually expanded that slightly at the new update. Back down into southeast Wyoming, all the way down to even south of Lubbock, Texas, and then all the way into Enid, Oklahoma, Fairview, inside of that as well. That enhanced risk level 3 out of 5 still remains in effect across Dodge City, Kansas, southwest Kansas, western Panhandle of Oklahoma, northeast Panhandle of Texas, mainly for, and I should say actually just for damaging winds. There's, of course, a 15% hail risk in place, but the actual enhanced risk upgrade is just for damaging winds today. No enhanced risk for like hail or tornadoes. The upgrade to enhanced is purely driven by wind. Tomorrow, very large marginal and slight risk in effect as well. Marginal all the way from the Ontario, northern Michigan, and northeast peninsula of Michigan borders back down into far south central Texas, with a slight risk inside that as well, all the way from south central Wisconsin down through central Texas. I do think tomorrow we'll go 5% for tornado risk. So right now we have a fairly large 2% tornado risk. I see 2 areas for a heightened tornado threat. One up here Up in central Missouri, generally this area, it's going to stretch somewhere from like Kansas City all the way back up into maybe Quincy, Illinois, generally somewhere in there. I think we could see a 5%. And then a secondary area, possibly back out here, somewhere from maybe western Missouri in southeast Kansas back down into much of central Oklahoma. I think central Oklahoma is where we have a secondary solid threat for a tornado. So those are the two areas I'm watching, specifically around Oklahoma City, and then also back up here into probably just barely east of Kansas City, Missouri. So two main areas for tornadoes, in my opinion, for tomorrow. Damaging winds, they could upgrade to a 30% wind. I could see that being needed. I could see the SPC upgrading this region for a enhanced risk for damaging winds. But outside of that, I really think damaging winds will be the biggest issue with the threat of multiple spin-up tornadoes. And then large hail could also be an issue if we see any discrete storms. Most likely specifically in southwestern Oklahoma into north central Texas will be where that hail threat is the greatest, but not really expecting much more than about 1.5 to 2 inch in diameter hail at largest being a possibility there for tomorrow. And then going on into your Wednesday time frame here, I do believe we could see a slight risk for damaging winds outlined somewhere from Michigan back down into Indiana and Ohio. There is going to be the opportunity for gusts as high as like 65 to 70 miles per hour. Tornado threat, maybe a 2%, but honestly, that tornado threat should be very, very low up here. Tornado threat may be a little bit more heightened back out in New Mexico where we have this marginal risk for severe weather. I don't really see much of a tornado threat going into Wednesday, but there is a marginal risk there in New Mexico, Colorado, western Texas, just in case, far northwest Texas. And then, of course, we do still have our day 4 slight risk for severe weather. This day looks to be the most notable for tornadoes out of our whole week stretch of severe weather. At least at the moment, this one looks to be the most notable. Hopefully it downtrends by the time we get to the day 1 outlook. But we'll actually have a jet stream with this one, which is a first for a while. We haven't had a good jet stream with any of these threats for severe weather in like the last 5 to 10 days. We haven't had a solid, well amplified, negatively tilted trough like what we'll have here on Thursday. So I expect we'll see the chance for a couple tornadoes, widespread damaging winds, and isolated very large hail, potentially up to about 2.5 inch in diameter. The main area I'm watching is like south central Kansas into the northeastern panhandle of Texas, and then back out into west central Oklahoma. That is the region I'm watching the most for day 4, which is going to be there on Thursday's risk for severe weather. Friday, nothing outlined just yet. I do think that will change. I think eventually by the time we get to our day 1 outlook, we'll probably have at least a marginal, if not a slight risk for severe weather. Probably across much of this area in here looks to be the greatest threat for all hazards. This entire area here, to exclude that circle. Let me redraw that. Like this whole area in here looks to be under the gun for severe weather going on into Friday. But no risk outlined by the SPC. And then going on into Saturday, we'll probably continue to see that risk for isolated severe storms across much of the same area, going a little bit further south. And then a secondary, potentially higher threat for severe storms may materialize back out in the panhandle of Texas on Saturday. And then Sunday, June 8th, is where our accuracy is going to be getting a lot lower, so we're not going to go that far out. A lot of these days, all these days are mesoscale days, so it's very tricky to nail the forecast until 2 days out or so. Myrtle Beach from the 7th through the 14th. Well, we did get an AOI out here from the NHC, 10% chance of tropical development just off the coastline of South Carolina, North Carolina, back down into Georgia and Florida. I don't see that being an actual tropical storm threat, but I do see it likely producing heavy rain, some isolated 15, 20 mile an hour wind gusts, but likely nothing that will stick around till June 7th. It should get out of there June 7th, maybe as late as the night of June 7th. If it's like the worst case scenario, it may hang around till Saturday night, but pretty much every model run has it being out of South Carolina on Friday, June 6th. So I think that will be out of there. And if that's the case, not really much tropical impacts, but it still looks like a rainy week. Let me see if I can check this really quick. Yeah, so you get that tropical low to get out of there Friday, Saturday. Likely going to see some rain Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, June 7th. And then probably another rain chance in the afternoon of June 8th. And then probably another rain chance on June 10th as well. Right now, it looks very rainy. Once we get closer, though, we'll be able to see exactly where those rain showers may form. But, you know, Myrtle Beach looks to be very, very rainy at the moment. But a lot of that hopefully will be in, like, the late evening or maybe the night hours. It's very hit or miss. I don't see any severe storms right now. Nothing that's, like, going to be a crazy issue for severe weather along the coastal areas, but definitely going to have the risk for rain. Definitely will be at risk for some rain. But it shouldn't be like an all-day thing. Most of them look to be like very quick-hitting rain showers, like 10 minutes, 10, 15-minute rain showers. And then they move through. That's what it looks like for now. Looks like fast-hitting rain showers, and none of it looks to be severe. But I'll keep an eye on it for sure. What was the end date there? June 7th through the 14th. Yeah, so after, like, the 8th, things get very inaccurate. But looking all the way till, like, the 10th or so, it still shows rain. Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, it's just full of rain. Hopefully that changes. I'll hope that that changes for you. But it's hard to say exactly if it will or won't rain. It looks like you're going to have a pretty good chance for rain. Storm structures, that's tricky to say because I don't know the environment. Out in the Carolinas, I don't typically start looking for severe storms until things are like 3 days out, if not closer than that. But much of them should be your good June garden variety thunderstorms. So yeah, probably some good structures. No tornado threats though, but you know, maybe some good structures with a gust of wind. All right, let's go back out to Nebraska here. So these are still warned for large hail, 1.5 to 1.75 inch in diameter. Your satellite imagery is old. That's old satellite imagery. So let's actually go to this satellite. There we go. Not the Eastern Pacific. We're not exactly looking over there right now. Yeah, so those are your storms firing up along your front right in here. You could also see that above my face cam as well. Higher definition up there. Stop looping that. So those storms are firing up, mainly hail, isolated damaging winds, potentially as high as 70 miles per hour. Tornado threat very low, but still possible. Yeah, you can see these storms, 50-mile-an-hour wind report there for Johnson, southwest Kansas, but they actually put a warning for 70-mile-an-hour winds on that. So these storms likely not producing anywhere remotely close to the... Ooh. Likely not producing anywhere close to the 90 to up to 100-mile-per-hour winds the MCD was saying. Yeah, see, that's still 60-mile-an-hour winds right there. Still going to be pretty strong thunderstorms, especially out here in the panhandle of Texas for, like, Perryton. But nothing tornadic, nothing destructive. So nothing for, like, 80-mile-an-hour winds or 2.75-inch hail. We don't have any destructive severes, I believe. I believe everything is normal to considerable. Yeah. The highest in severe storm looks to be probably this one here. And that's the one in southwest Kansas, 70-mile-an-hour winds. But there's also another one here in Nebraska, 1.75-inch hail. Those two are both significant severes. We'll get hurricane reports from Lucy. I don't think she would want that on vacation. I mean, shoot. If I planned my vacation correctly last year, if I planned it for like Florida, I would have intercepted like a category 3 or 4. So you never know. They could pop up out of nowhere. If I do end up having a vacation this year, I'll plan it like a whole month in advance, and then by the time I leave, it's going to be like something in the tropics that we'll have to watch, and I won't be able to cover it. Yeah, but none of this stuff is rotating, so that's really good news. A lot of it is just hail and wind. If you're in a severe storm, just make sure you're away from doors and windows. That's the most important thing. Rainmaker in Texas. Yeah, the Panhandle. Big time rainmaker for sure. Texas should get a lot of rain over the next few days. Maybe not southwest Texas, though. Northern Texas will probably get the most rain. Best rain chances will definitely stay in and north of Fort Worth. Like this area in here. North of that white line in Texas is going to be the best rain chances over the next few days. And then rain chances to the south, they're going to be very isolated. You could see some people are going to get pretty heavy rain. Other people may get literally nothing out of these storms. Very isolated rain showers down there. Still a significant severe there in southwest Kansas. Over Moscow, Hugoton, southwest Kansas. Just make sure you're away from doors and windows. You'll be good. Personally, think they could have went enhanced for hail today in Nebraska. It's a pretty impressive environment. Yeah, but the hail threat should be very brief. Probably no longer than about an hour. And then storms are going to grow upscale very, very quickly. So they only have about like an hour, at most 2 hours, to produce large hail. I see it being a lot of wind, a lot of 60-mile-an-hour winds, and then right now for like the next hour or so, some large hail upwards of 2-inch in diameter. But an enhanced risk, if you're talking like a 30 sig hail, that's when we start talking about like 3.5 inch in diameter hail. I don't see that happening today anywhere. But there is a slight risk, and slight risk for hail, which if I go to the hail threat right there, in that whole yellow area you see there, that's hail potential as large as 2-inch in diameter. But most people inside this yellow risk area won't see much more than probably an inch in diameter. A lot of the times, if you're under a severe for, say, like 2-inch hail, 3-inch hail, most of the time it's going to be less than that. Unless you're unlucky. Like Austin. Was it Austin the other day? Yeah, Austin, Texas the other day. That crazy hail spike we saw. I don't think we got anything larger than about 2-inch in diameter hail. But that hail spike was from the amount of hail falling. Like, it literally covered people's yards in Austin, Texas from that hailstorm the other day. So it wasn't like historically large hail. It was just buckets worth of hailstones. Which I found that crazy. Literally like parts of the streets, the roads, yards covered in what looked like snow. In Austin, Texas, but it was actually hail. Lacey, thank you for becoming an EF1 member. I appreciate it. Just greatly appreciated. Thank you for the extra support. Softball games there tonight in Oklahoma City. Rain should be late. It should be pretty late. Um, Best rain chance is definitely going to be around 11 p.m. Central. 11 p.m., maybe midnight Central is your best chance at rain. So very, very late tonight. I don't know if there'll be any softball games that late. Am I terrified of tornadoes but not hurricanes? I don't like either of them. I love to study them and track them, but when it comes to actually being in my neck of the woods, I hate them both. Hurricanes are, in my opinion, hurricanes are even worse to me because they not only do they cause tornadoes, but just they're so large and difficult to like avoid. You know, you have to completely evacuate your entire area to avoid it. Say if it's like a category 3 or category 4, you have to fully evacuate. And they come with so many hazards too. You know, you have the ridiculous flooding, the ridiculous damaging winds depending on the strength, the tornado threats, and then the storm surge too. So many threats. Tornadoes you just don't know where though. That is very true, but I mean, we can spot it pretty far out. We can give you a general idea. Like today, your greatest tornado threat is in this area, so you just really stay hyper weather aware for. And then the chance of you getting hit by a tornado. Think how small tornadoes normally are. Obviously, the biggest one, 2.6 miles wide. That's not small at all. But normally, tornadoes are going to be relatively on the smaller side of things and relatively on the weaker side of things. And think of that chance. You know, say the whole U.S. is under the gun for tornadoes, right? Hypothetically, say the whole U.S. is under a 2% tornado risk, which has never happened before ever. What are the chances that a tornado goes into your state, down your town, your street, hitting your house? What are the chances of that? I mean, it is so low, it's absurd. Whereas a hurricanes can be huge. Tropical storm force winds could expand up to 500 miles away from the center, at least from what I have personally seen. And that's like 3/4 the size of the Gulf. That's just ridiculous. You know, like I said, you're gonna have to fully evacuate your state to get away from something that large. And the chance of you getting hit, say you live in Central Florida and there's a hurricane going right into Central Florida, the chance of it hitting you is stupidly high because it's a big storm system. So, out of all the tornado risks I've been under, which I've been under plenty, I've never been hit by a tornado. The closest a tornado ever came to my house was like a county and a half away, or a half county away, rather. So I live in Martinsville. The closest tornado was west of Chatham. And like I said, just the chance of a tornado hitting you, it's so low. Even if you're in like a high risk for severe weather, like a 30 significant tornado risk, there's still a low chance that it hits your street and your house. It's still so low, even on the highest end of days. But I hate both. Hurricanes also bring tornadoes, which is another reason why I hate hurricanes. I love tracking both hurricanes and tornadoes, but I would never want to be under the gun of either one of them at my house. I would love to chase both of them too, but just being under the gun, I don't like it. Especially once when I'm in an enhanced risk for severe weather, that's when I start to get worried. I'm a weather enthusiast, so an enhanced risk, you probably wouldn't think I get worried about an enhanced risk, but I do. All right, they did continue that severe still for 70-mile-an-hour winds over Hugoton, Moscow, still inside that liberal southwest Kansas as well. I know we had somebody from there like 2, 3 streams ago, currently in a severe for 70-mile-an-hour winds. Only the most intense tornado damage can slab a house. Very few tornadoes can do that. No more than typically like 2 to 3 a year. This year we've had like what, 5 or 6 violent tornadoes? 5, I think. That's very, very high. That is very high. But typically we don't see much more than 2 or 3 violent tornadoes a year. That's over the course of 365 days. We only see typically about 2 to 3 of them. Most tornadoes are extremely weak and don't do much more damage than picking up some leaves. Most tornadoes don't do a lot of damage. And the reason why you hear about those that like slab houses, that's because those get like a lot of, they're going to be the most publicized. The ones that do the most damage are going to be the ones that are talked about the most. So you're going to hear about them the most. Here, let me see if I could show you. See if I can... About 80% of tornadoes that hit the U.S. are classified as weak. So, 80% of tornadoes are weak tornadoes that barely cause damage. 80%. And then the chance for a violent tornado each year, there's only about a 1% chance. Only 1% chance of a violent tornado. Or, my bad, I worded that wrong. My bad. Less than 1% of tornadoes are violent. That's what I was trying to say. I apologize. Worded that completely wrong. Less than 1% of tornadoes are violent. Like I said, we typically only see 2 to 3 a year. Yeah. 20% are classified as strong tornadoes. And then, like I just said, less than 1% are classified as violent, which those are the ones that you see completely destroying houses. There we go. What do you think rain-wise tomorrow? Southeast Wisconsin. Need the golf course I work at. Really, really, really needs rain. Southeast Wisconsin. Let's see. Hopefully it's just rain and not severe weather. I should get plenty of rain. Yeah, I should get plenty of rain. Maybe a little bit too much rain. How far southeast we talking? We talking like Milwaukee southeast? You should be under the gun for flooding tomorrow. Let's see. Is it this? Nope. This. You're in a marginal level 1 out of 4. I'm surprised that's not a slight risk. That is a very bright green. A blinding green. Okay, wow, you are southeast. Like, you are as southeast as it gets. You are very far southeast. So rain forecast, they're forecasting about 1¼ inches of rain tomorrow. Could get upwards of 2 inches of rain. 1.5, 2 inches of rain in like Janesville, back up towards Milwaukee. But your area, about 1.25 inches of rain is what's forecasted. Over the next 3 days, maybe upwards of 2 inches of rain. So you should get some good rain. Hopefully it won't be any flooding, though. There is the chance for some flash flooding. I thought today was Tuesday, too, Legacy. I agree with it being more of a Tuesday, not a Monday. I will be live tomorrow as well. Wednesday is the only day I'm not going to be able to live stream. And then I'm going to get very, very busy towards the end of June, early July. I will be extremely busy. Just an early heads up there. But over like the next 2 weeks or so, the only day I cannot stream by any means is Wednesday. Which, if we look at Wednesday's outlook, that's perfect because looking at the risk, Wednesday is simply a marginal right now. I do think we could see a slight risk still for wind. I wouldn't be shocked if we get a slight risk somewhere in here for damaging winds, and then we could probably see a brief spin-up tornado somewhere in New Mexico or Colorado. But Wednesday's the only day I'm going to have to take off. Any other days I take off is going to be, just taking it off because I need a break or something. Let's see. How do you change the colors of, like, hail, wind, and rain on Weatherwise? You mean your color tables? Misty, did you watch my Weatherwise video? I think I need to update that. I should probably do an updated how-to on that. I'm gonna need to do that. The scary ones are 3 a.m. tornado warnings in Oklahoma. I've only ever been in one nocturnal tornado before, tornado warning, and that was like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the one day I decided I'm going to turn off my weather radio today, and then I went to sleep with my weather radio off. That was the one time I got into a tornado warning in the overnight hours. The only time I've ever been in one is the one day I turned off my weather radio. So you bet that thing stayed on ever since. And I woke up because the rain was so loud and the wind was strong. That's the only reason why I woke up. Then I looked at my phone, saw I was in a tornado warning, and freaked out. That's bad. I hate nocturnal tornadoes. I hate nocturnal storms. Like, that's just it. Even if it's light rain, I hate it. I hate light rain or any rain at night. Because whenever I hear rain, I think of thunderstorms, and so I can't sleep. Nocturnal storms are the worst, in my opinion. Any risk for storms? Oh, any tornado risk for storms going into Oklahoma. So for today, there is a risk for severe storms, mainly damaging winds and very small hail, specifically west of OKC, including Enid, Woodward, Canton, Elk City, under the gun for mainly damaging winds and hail. Brief spin-up tornado will be possible, but is not likely. Tomorrow, a bit more of an elevated threat for much of Oklahoma. A very large chunk of Oklahoma under a slight risk level 2 out of 5 for severe weather. Tornado threat is higher for tomorrow compared to today. You're in a 2%, and I do think we could get an upgrade to a 5% tornado risk somewhere in central Oklahoma into northeastern Oklahoma for tomorrow's storms. So there's a risk for tornadoes, especially tomorrow in Oklahoma, but that risk is still low. If we do manage to see any tornadoes, they will likely be very weak and very brief. We're not expecting any tornado outbreaks or anything absurd with tornadoes over the next few days. Just to show you guys the simulated radar for tomorrow. A lot of uncertainty on how tomorrow will play out, but the general thinking is storms will rapidly begin to intensify, likely near 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern, across southeastern Kansas into north-central Texas, posing mainly a risk for very large hail, damaging winds. Spin-up tornado is definitely possible pretty much anytime after 2 p.m. tomorrow in Oklahoma. Those storms grow upscale 5 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern, 8, 9, they continue eastward. So we're looking at mainly very large hail once they first get going. Tornado threat is going to be a little bit heightened once they first form discrete. Then that tornado threat will maintain on the weaker side of things as things grow linear. The hail threat decreases, wind threat increases into the evening hours. And then by the time we're probably after about 8 p.m., 8, 9 p.m. Eastern time, all these storms should be weakening out. Back out in Missouri, eastern Kansas, storms will likely rapidly intensify towards 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, and I do think the tornado threat is a little bit more elevated out here as well. So we'll need to monitor both of those areas. If we go back to weather-wise, that's the two main areas I think could see tornadoes tomorrow. One of the main areas is up here. That's one main region I'm watching. And then the secondary one is out here in Oklahoma. Those are the two main areas I'm watching for tornadoes tomorrow. That 2% goes very far north, even into southeastern Wisconsin. I don't really see much of a tornado threat up there, but the SPC does see the opportunity for a spin-up tornado out there. So, personally, I don't see a way that that happens. The instability is just horrible that far to the north. Absolutely horrible. So I don't see a way how we see any tornadic activity really any more north than like western Illinois. I really don't see much of a tornado threat for this whole area in here. I wouldn't rule it out, but just I personally don't see much with it. I never use my weather radio anymore. I mean, I get that, but personally, I always have a weather radio on. I mean, you never know. If you step away from your softwares for a minute or you're not paying attention to the weather, storms can sneak up on you. It's happened to me before. It's happened to me before, so I always have one. All right, let's go back down to Kansas. Still seeing this line of severe storms between 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Main 70 mile an hour storm is still over Liberal, Moscow, Hugoton, in southwestern Kansas. So just be away from doors and windows there, and you'll be good. Whenever you're in a severe thunderstorm warning, just stay away from doors and windows, and you'll be fine. I think that's a new mesoscale discussion. Yes, it is. Let's see if I can show you guys that. No additional watch or watch extensions are expected at this time, but the threat for damaging winds and severe weather will persist and become more isolated with time. That's the Twin Cities in Minnesota right there. So, just really the chance for an isolated wind gust up to about 60 mile an hour winds and some isolated large to small hail, half inch to an inch in diameter possible. Nothing over the top. But I mean, that line strengthened pretty well. 2-inch hail, 60 mile an hour winds with this southern end of our line. And that's going to be heading towards the Twin Cities here. But that's going to be a while before it gets to the Twin Cities. So the northern side of the Twin Cities already being hit with some rain. Over the next hour, chances are going to continue to increase in the Twin Cities. But the southern side into the central side here in east central Minnesota, you guys are really going to be hit probably in like 2 hours, maybe even a little longer than that. Woodward, Oklahoma expects storms tonight. Actually fairly soon. There's a line of storms moving towards Woodward, Oklahoma right now. And it should get there probably in about 2 or so hours. Hopefully it will be fairly weak before it gets to you. It looks to be about 9 o'clock central once those storms arrive. Damaging winds of 60 miles per hour, 1-inch hail will be the main issue. But there's also the chance for a spin-up tornado. Can we have strong tornadoes? No strong tornado threat anticipated in the U.S. over the next 7 days. No threats look to be like that right now. I am keeping an eye on this day right here, Thursday. I think Thursday has some higher end tornado potential. Probably the highest end out of our entire week of severe storms, most likely. So we'll see if things trend that way for Thursday. Right now, Thursday looks really good for tornadoes, but I have a feeling things are going to kind of shift around over the next couple days like they always do. So, yeah, but still, that's not a strong tornado threat at the moment. There's no anticipated strong tornado threats anywhere in the U.S. anytime soon. Shift around into Indiana? No. No, your threat's not going to go from Texas to Indiana. Still continuing a 70-mile-per-hour severe just now to the southwest of Dodge City, Kansas. So again, stay away from doors and windows. Chances for tornadoes do decrease, Ari, but I mean, they're all year round. Tornadoes are unfortunately all year round. They're the least frequent in December and January. Typically, November, December, January, and early February are all the very inactive months for tornadoes. Hold on, I saw someone say something about rotation. Sargent, Nebraska. There's some velocities, but most likely that's hail contaminated. And if it's not hail contaminated, then, well, they did just issue a new severe. 1.25-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, no tour possible. Yeah, it's probably hail contaminated. I don't expect any good areas of rotation. How active will June be in tornadoes? It's gonna be June. It ain't gonna be no April or May or March, I could tell you that. June is a lot more frequent for damaging winds, weak, brief, spin-up tornadoes, and very large hail. Normally get a lot of wind threats in June. Hence why we have a 30 significant wind risk today. That just proves my point. But I don't know how many tornadoes do we normally see in June. Go check this site. Let's see. So typically we see around 200 tornadoes. Apparently that sounds completely wrong. What is that based on? That doesn't seem right. Apparently we see near 200. I find that very difficult to believe. Let's see. Apparently that's correct. I wish I could see that from the SPC. Last year we saw 131. So I don't see how in the world that is correct. I don't trust that whatsoever. You know what? I might have a way to look at it. I saved a site from my tornado season forecast video in like late February. And that's from the SPC, so that would be one I do trust. Let's see. Maybe this? March, April, May, June. Okay, 186. And that is from an official SPC site. 186 is the average tornado count for June from 2000 to 2024. I'm actually very surprised it's still that high. And then July, it goes down to 107. August, 84. September, 64. October, 61. November, 54. December, 48. And then January is the least active, 38 tornadoes. So December and January are very, very inactive. Let me go back over here. Chris, I don't know what you're on about, but I've been in contact with the channel you've mentioned, and he didn't request for any like takedown or whatever because I made this channel myself. So either you stop texting that or you get banned. There's no in between. Get banned or quit being weird. I want to see a snow NATO. Go to Greenland. I think that's where Greenland or like Antarctica. I saw one last year. I think it was in, was it in Colorado? Wyoming? Maybe. I remember a snow NATO last year. I just can't remember exactly where. Let's go to Southwest Kansas again. So still seeing 70-mile-per-hour severes get issued here. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on these storms. Tornado threat still very low with them. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on a second. I'm going to quickly... Give me just a second, y'all. I'm going to go add this really fast. Community. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. Yeah, just make sure that slow mode's still working. Always got to have the 11-year-old bot who spams in here. It's literally an 11-year-old who's been harassing the channel for like literally 2-3 years. I'm not even kidding. Somehow they still hang around here. Why? I don't know. Because they ain't got a life. That's my best guess. Hold on, I accidentally did something and I gotta try to find it. There it is. Okay. Looks like they're letting those storms in northeastern Texas and the Panhandle go sub-severe. So we'll keep an eye on these, but they're sub-severe right now. I ain't gonna say who's doing it. It's a specific person, though. They've made like 100 alt accounts. I'm not even joking. Maybe even more than that at this point. Yeah, Ben, you can definitely see the smoke on satellite. It was really, really bad the day before yesterday. It was horrific. We looked at it on live satellite. The moon was red last night. Wow. Yeah, that's because of smoke. I saw that on Twitter for the sun the other day. Yeah, literally almost 24 hours ago, I tweeted it. I said, is that the sun? Literally, people just don't know apparently what the sun is anymore. Wildfire smoke or smoke in the horizon can make the sun look red, or even the moon look red. So if you see a red sun or a red moon, it's exactly that, moon or sun, depending on what time of the day you're looking at the clouds. What did somebody call? Oh, Mars. Someone called it Mars. Like, yeah, Mars is that close to Earth. Thinking the sun is Mars over here. Let me go back over to, actually, southeast Wyoming. So this severe is warned for 70 miles per hour. That's a 70 mile per hour severe. Also for Torrington in southeastern Wyoming. So make sure you're away from doors and windows there. By the way, it was Colorado where we saw that snow NATO. It was December last year in Colorado. These storms in Nebraska, a lot of them are sub-severe, actually. Definitely could have quite the hail threat, though. Still near an inch in diameter, so a severe could come out at any point for any of those storms south of Stapleton, Nebraska. Storms are still exploding on satellite. Like I said, that was really one of the main reasons I went live today, is to watch the satellite imagery with you guys. It's been above my face cam almost all stream. Because I knew these storms would explode. What has happened so far? Well, we had crazy 4 MCDs. If you've been on Twitter and in the weather community, you probably saw that. That had to be on purpose. That was the highlight of the day. We saw 2 MCDs for up to 100 mile per hour winds, but both of those didn't verify. Max wind gust we got today was like 70 miles per hour so far. Hail, haven't seen anything larger than about 2 inch in diameter, and no tornadoes. We had a single tornado warning, so really about an average normal enhanced risk. The actual enhanced risk, though, I would nearly say has underperformed. We have so many severes in it, though, so it's not like it's a bust or anything, but I mean, considering there was 2 MCDs for up to 100 mile an hour winds, and we haven't even seen 80 just yet, I think it's underperformed very slightly. But we've seen plenty of 60 and 70 mile an hour severes in the enhanced, so. I'm kind of 50-50 on if that's performed. The enhanced risk was issued for, I think they said 85 mile an hour winds likely. Let me go look. I gotta go check. NWS. Oh man, I'm gonna have to scroll far, far back. I'm gonna be here for a hot minute, scrolling back a couple of hours. I gotta go all the way back to when they issued this severe watch in southwest Kansas, northeastern Texas, which that was like almost 3 hours ago, I'm pretty sure. 85 mile an hour winds likely. So, yeah, we were really anticipating at least 80 mile an hour winds. So 85 mile an hour winds are likely in the enhanced risk area. We've seen like 3 or 4 70 mile an hour severe. So I would say the enhanced has underperformed a little. But yeah, we're still seeing a lot of 60 and 70 mile an hour winds just within these storms right now. Yeah, there is a AOI off the coastline of the Carolinas here, 10%. Mainly going to be a lot of rain. I really don't think we'll see much more impacts than a lot of rain and maybe some gusty winds of like 20 miles per hour. But man, look at all that smoke. Look at all that smoke. A bunch of it. It was really, really bad yesterday because we had that strong low pressure in the northeast, and that was just pulling winds down like this. So like half the US was just covered in smoke. Yesterday and the day before yesterday. The auroras yesterday happened like 24 hours early or something. They happened, what was yesterday? Sunday night? Yeah, they happened like Sunday at like 2 a.m. was like the peak. So early Sunday morning when the peak was actually expected to be near like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. actually this morning. So they happened like 20 to 24 hours earlier. So I didn't see any auroras. I definitely was not up that late. A new severe watch for Oklahoma. That should be pretty low probability considering we're not even at a... Is that glitched? Okay, we got one severe in that watch now. A whole one severe just got issued. So we've got one severe in this entire new watch. I imagine, like I said, that's probably going to be pretty low in probability. I figured out a new way to see the watch probabilities even earlier. Let me go to it. It should be here, here, SPC watches. 70% wind? Wow. That is not low probability at all. A 70-40 wind severe watch. And then 40-30 hail too. That's nearly the highest severe watch of the day. I believe the only higher one... Yeah, only one watch was higher. That was the one in southwest Kansas. So this is the second highest watch in terms of probabilities that we've seen today. So just a heads up, if you're in this watch... right here. Whoop, right here. Severe watch was just issued for... Let me go see if they've put out the hazards yet. Okay, they haven't put out the hazards. Never mind, they have. I'm just blind. I'm just blind. So... 2 to 2.5 inch hail, 80 to 85 mile an hour winds, and spin up tornado is unlikely. Could get a brief weak spin up tornado somewhere in that watch, but it's unlikely. Depression, that's a tropical depression. Yeah, it stands for something. You mean like the word itself, or like what does it mean in terms of intensity? Because in terms of intensity, it's like 35 miles per hour or so. Thirty, 35. We'll just go with it means that the storm is sad because it's not really that strong. How about that? That's the definition. The storm is very sad because it's not that strong. Big time hail on this severe. It says 1.25 inch hail, but that DBZ values are going into the low 70s, 72 DBZ. So I'm surprised that's 1.25 inch hail, or rather, yeah, you said that right. 1.25 inch hail is what that is warned for, but wouldn't be shocked if it's a lot larger over Walworth, in central Nebraska. Whale or Wall, one or the other. Yeah, because see, this one is, this is like the same DBZ values, maybe slightly larger. 76, okay, that's a lot larger. 76.5 DBZ there. That is warned for 1.75 inch hail. The reason why that is indeed a Tor possible severe is because it's actually attached to an outflow boundary, which can sometimes increase inflow. So if that's able to help at all with any inflow, it could become tornadic. So thus they've chosen a Tor possible severe there. That's for Pine Bluffs in southeastern Wyoming. Yeah, tornadoes are unlikely in Oklahoma. And pretty much like no wind shear. I think there's a small amount of wind shear, but not a lot at all. Actually, there's like 20. Yeah, there's like 20 0 to 1 kilometer helicity, and typically we look for 150. So yeah, pretty much near zero wind shear. Now tomorrow in Oklahoma, there should be some better wind shear, possibly up to 150, 200 0 to 1 kilometer SRH. So we should have a better chance for tornadoes in central Oklahoma tomorrow. Like I said, could see a 5% tornado risk introduced there. Anybody else seen the hype on that potential major hurricane in the Gulf? The thumbnails have been outlandish on YouTube. I have seen crazy thumbnails. The GFS 18Z is right back at it, showing a Category 2, Category 3 in the Gulf. It's just crazy. It's not going to happen, y'all. It's not going to happen. We do this every year. Every year we do this. Every single year, I have to pull up the GFS multiple times each month to point out a fantasy system that is never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I mean, look at that. The GFS has a major hurricane hitting Louisiana, near major hurricane, and then the Euro, which is a lot more accurate for hurricane season, has literally light rain in that area. Just for another model run, here's the Canadian, light rain as well. Also, hold on a second. Yeah, notice how it keeps moving back. So, like 3 days ago, so let's go to a run from like May 28th. That's like 4 or 5 days ago. Let's go a little bit sooner. Let's go May 30th, Friday. Somewhere around here. So yeah, this one, the one I just had there, this was it? This has a tropical storm hitting Florida on the 9th of June, right? Just 7 days. 7 days. If that was the case, I would be like, okay, that's a little bit more concerning. However, if we go to the newest model run, look at June 9th now. Nothing. Nothing. You know why? Because it pushed it. It pushed it back out to June 13th and 14th. So what it's doing is every time it gets closer, within like the 240 hour time frame, it pushes it back. It pushes it later. So instead of it being June 9th, it's June 10th or June 11th or June 12th. And now it's June 13th or 14th. It keeps pushing it back until eventually it's not going to happen. And then that's when the clickbaiters are going to be like, well, never mind, I was wrong. we wrong sometimes. So it keeps pushing it back later and later and later, and it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like I said, if it was still there for June 9th, if it was still there in the 7-day time frame, if it was still for June 9th, I would be talking about it right now. I would be getting a lot more concerned about it. But it's not. It's back to June 13th and 14th. And June 9th looks like nothing more than light rain across the Gulf Coast. So here's your European ensembles, by the way, which is what we really love to use. And look at the Gulf. The only signal is where the CPC has that 20 or so % chance of development. That's where your main signal is, the Southwest Gulf into the West Northwest Caribbean. So the European ensembles, that's the most accurate thing you can use in hurricane season. Even if you just use the European ensembles, you're going to be a whole lot more accurate than if you were to use the GFS of anything. And this is the GFS ensembles, and you can see that has a pretty good signal. Again, Southwest Caribbean, Southwest Gulf. So there's definitely something worth watching, but throwing out clickbait titles of saying something major is about to form. I saw that one yesterday. Ain't going to name him, but he's actually pretty well known. Yeah, no. The only major thing that's about to form is the major amount of clickbait on YouTube. Which I will admit, a lot of the times my thumbnails are over the top. I can admit that for sure, but I try my best to not be clickbait. I do have over the top thumbnails. I will admit that any day of the week. But unfortunately, that's how YouTube works. But I'm not, I try not to be clickbaity. I try my best. I've toned it down a lot. You should have seen me in the early days of this channel. But that's because I didn't know any better until I started getting experience. The more I learned about weather, the less and less I use of the GFS. That's how it is. That's how it is. The more I learn, the less I use the GFS. Yeah, it has to be eye-catching, exactly. So my thumbnails pop out a lot, and it makes them look clickbaity. I'm not gonna lie about that. It does make them look clickbaity. It's all for the revenue. I mean, some of it is just so outlandish, though, that it almost feels like it's not even an actual video. Like, it literally, like, it feels like it's not even real. Some of them are so crazy. Yeah. It's just wild. But I'm not gonna point any fingers at anybody because I don't want to point them out by name. That would be immature of me. We're all trying to help spread weather awareness, but some of us like to not use the GFS 280 hours out. Yes, Logan, I try my best to not use that. The watch out, this is crazy, oh wow, this is rare. I don't like those thumbnails, personally. I still watch YouTubers who use those, but personally, for me, I don't like to put that. I like to put, like, severe weather likely, above average hurricane season, hurricane possible, tropical storm possible, outbreaks possible, something like that. Significant storms, active tornado season, huge change. That's what I like to do. Large storm, active tropics. And I like to match it with my title. So that's, you'll, like my video today, severe weather likely. The title is severe weather will be likely. The thumbnail, severe weather likely. I like to match it up, like, perfectly. Imagine clickbaiters on April 27th, 2011. Oh, man. That would be... I don't know if I can imagine that. There would... everyone knows the one person. There would still be one person who's like, big Arctic blast. And then it's April 27th, 2011. There's a specific YouTuber who goes around saying Arctic blast throughout all of summer. But man, the April 27th, 2011 clickbait, if that happened again, if we got like say a 45 significant tornado risk, you know what would pop out? EF5s possible. That's what would pop out. If we got a 45 significant tornado risk, people would start using EF5 tornadoes possible. The worst clickbait I did was back in late 2021. During hurricane season, I took the GFS model run 290 hours out on my thumbnail and I put hurricane possible. 290 hours out. I'll never forget it because I'm never doing it again. That was a thumbnail changing moment in my career. I will never do that again. The thing is, like, I really didn't even get called out for it. There wasn't many people who called me out, but just realizing how wrong I was, that was it. That was it. I was completely dead wrong and it disappeared off of models in like 2 days. I was like, what? So you're telling me the GFS just throws out hurricanes like nothing? And I never did it again. I learned my lesson. The GFS always does stuff like that. It really does. It's a little bit different when other models start picking up on it though. So if the Euro, the GFS, and the Canadian all had a hurricane 200 hours out, I would start to talk about the potential for tropical development. But right now, it is literally only the GFS deterministic 270 hours out that shows a tropical storm. So I'm gonna make fun of everybody who's saying hurricane possible. Just like I used to do back in the day. One thumbnail. Like I said, I'll never forget it. That was the worst clickbait I ever did. And I deleted that video, obviously. Was there another one? I think that was my only one. Like, that was when I did that thumbnail, that was like the turning point for weather models for me. I realized how bad they are after like 120 to 100 and depending on what season, 180 hours out is okay for severe weather if you're looking at the overall pattern. But for tropics, anything more than like 120 hours out, and it's just going to be ridiculously inaccurate. Same goes for winter as well. But I mean, it was really just that one thumbnail, that singular thumbnail. I was like, okay, never doing that one again. I was wrong. Definitely no hurricane out of this. What would your thumbnail for April 27th, 2011 be? It would be violent tornadoes possible with the normal color format that I do. I wouldn't be saying no EF5s possible. But I feel like that's how Twitter would react to 45 significant tornado risk. People would be tweeting, I feel like this could break the streak. This could be a day where we see EF5s. Like in 2021, we had a 45 significant tornado risk. I wasn't really on YouTube much for that risk, but it was a complete underperformance. Did some clickbaity stuff. Wonder why 60% of the people disliked the video. I feel like everybody in their YouTube career has that turning point moment. Like you have to make a mistake, right? If you don't make a mistake during your YouTube career, you're literally just not going to get better. It's as simple as that. You have to make mistakes to get better. And I think people need to acknowledge that more. I think we like when somebody makes a mistake, we flame them like it's the end of the world on Twitter. But in reality, you just need to simply admit your mistake, learn from it, and then get better. Mistakes should be more of a learning and a turning point for your career, not you did horrible, you're done, get off of YouTube, everyone hates you. End of the world possible tonight, get ready. Man, Logan, yep, that would be a YouTube thumbnail for April 27th, 2011. It's the end of the world, get ready. The clock starts now. It would be some very, very clickbaity stuff. Insanely high-end wording from YouTube. Okay, now that's a different realm, Drew. I'm talking about with like, that's like against the, against the law. What you mentioned there, Drew. But I'm talking about like, you know, making too hyped up of a thumbnail or, just lower, not law punishable offenses. That's something that the law got involved in with for the person you mentioned, Drew. Black hole tornado possible, man. Yep, that's Twitter for you. No, that would be TikTok. That would be TikTok, Caden. For sure. That would be TikTok. Remember the category 6 person from, was it last year? There was a girl on TikTok who went category 6 will hit North Carolina in like 13 days or something, or 5 days, I forgot what it was. Dude, that was insane. That took over the weather community. I remember that. Black hole tornado possible. That would for sure be a TikTok title. Oh, TikTok is horrible. I know two, no, three. I know three good creators on TikTok, but the rest is just atrocious. The hypo outlooks are insane on there. Like there will be a marginal risk for severe weather, and they will make it seem like it's the end of the world. It got to the point where I uninstalled TikTok. I was like, okay, I'm done. Goodbye. I don't even bother with TikTok anymore. I still have almost like 2,000 followers on there, but it was just getting to be too much for me. YouTube is just perfect in my opinion for weather. It has of course it has its flaws, but it's the most perfect one out there. She only thought it went to category 4. It doesn't surprise me, Legacy. You'd be surprised how the general public just doesn't know what we think is, very easy to understand, or what we just simply use, like a categorical risk scale of 1 to 5, or a hurricane strength scale from like tropical depression to category 5. You know what was bad? The leader of whoever's in charge of FEMA. Earlier today, I saw a tweet about it. Earlier today, whoever leads FEMA, he didn't even know there was a U.S. hurricane season. The leader of our disaster funding, our government funding that helps natural people who are impacted by natural disasters, didn't even know hurricane season was a thing in the U.S. Like, you've got to be kidding me. What do you mean? So, but for like the general public, I understand. But for somebody who's like in charge of FEMA, that's like crazy. I'm pretty sure it was confirmed, Pete. I'm like 90% sure. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, it made headlines, so I'm pretty sure it was confirmed. I don't know if everybody would have been talking about it if it wasn't confirmed. But I saw it all over the place. Maybe it could have been like exaggerated or something, but I didn't see like a government source post it or anything, but it was multiple different trusted news outlets, so that's why I mentioned it. Yeah, it's on news articles, Pete. That's the reason why I mentioned it. Normally I don't mention stuff like that unless I think it's actually true. I mean, I don't know where else to look for it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you have CBS, NBC, um there's some other news articles that I won't mention, but there's more. Long form content. They do. They have you can pay for a lot of extra tweets. Or do you or like a lot of extra characters for tweets, but they also have like videos too and live streams. I've streamed on Twitter. Yeah, Milton was the worst tornado outbreak for Florida in a very long time. I don't know for sure if it was in history. I didn't do research on it, so I know it was one of the, if not possibly the worst outbreak for Florida. Oh yeah, remember AccuWeather's huge mistake? They trusted the GFS. They trusted the GFS, and AccuWeather had a cone. They had a cone of uncertainty. There was a what do they call it? Tropical rain shower or something? They had a tropical rain shower here, and they had a cone of uncertainty going this way, like this. And they had it making landfall as a Category 3 hurricane over West Central Florida. And you know what happened? It briefly formed into a tropical storm east of the Yucatan Peninsula and then died. It didn't even get close to Florida. It didn't become a hurricane. It was a brief tropical storm that hit the Yucatan Peninsula and then died. So that's why don't put out your own cones, okay? Just the National Hurricane Center, they should be the only people who issue hurricane outlooks. AccuWeather tried, and man, they failed very miserably. Forecasting a Category 3 hurricane, and then it becomes a weak tropical storm, and then dies out. Nowhere even close to a normal hurricane, so. I can't tell you how accurate they normally are. Maybe you've had a really good experience with AccuWeather and you use them, but personally, I don't use AccuWeather or the Weather Channel. I just forecast it myself, and that tends to be a lot easier than whatever AccuWeather or the Weather Channel tells me. But you know, if AccuWeather is accurate for you, shoot, go ahead and use it. It's just personally, I've already had a bad experience with the Weather Channel and AccuWeather. So these storms are going toward possible, but man, they don't have any rotation. So these may be for the potential of landspout tornadoes. I'm gonna go check the cheat code. The cheat code is a mixture of 3 Cape and Vorticity. See how that overlaps right there? Yeah, so there may be the chance for some landspouts or just some ordinary tornadoes, cyclonic tornadoes here. They overlap right in this area, so that's why we're seeing Tor Possible Severes issued. So there could definitely be a brief tornado or two over the next like hour and a half with these storms as they move into northwestern Kansas. Could be a landspout, could be an actual fully mesocyclone tornado. I just searched for hurricane season on ABC, CBS, and NBC news websites, and none of them had the information you said. Of what? Of what? Hurricane season? What did I say about that? Short-term memory, y'all. Oh, the FEMA director? Or whatever I don't know what he is. No, I mean, I wish I could show you the article. I don't know if I have permission to. I'll send one to you in DMs. Let me refind it. Oh, come on. Please let me find it again. There ain't no way I'm not going to find it again. Maybe this was it. This is going to be horrible if I can't find it again. I should have sent it to you when I found it. Okay. Dude, I literally can't find it, but hold on, I'm going to go to this. Maybe 7:30. Okay, this. It's literally not there anymore. Oh, got it. Oof. I got it. I got it. Saved. Saved. Oof. It was unclear whether he meant it as literally or as a joke. I have been saved. Oh, you found something? Okay. I'm not making it up, I promise. Like I said, I wouldn't have said it unless I had credible sources outside of Twitter. Pete trying to make me look like I'm lying. You scared me though, dude. I thought I wasn't going to be able to find it again. There's a guy who no longer works for FEMA? Wait, what? Is he not currently... If he... That kind of makes it even crazier if he no longer works for FEMA, but he worked for FEMA the whole time. I had no idea about it. So he's not actively working anymore. Okay, see, I didn't know that. But it says here, literally 3 hours ago, he's led FEMA since early May. Says the remark was made by David Richardson, who has led FEMA since early May. So, that's why I'll never be into news. Because there's so many different people who say so many different things, and it confuses me so horribly. So I could not go into like major media outlet news type of thing. Weather's difficult enough to get right. Storm guy, it's not a possible hurricane or a possible tropical storm. It is the potential for a non-tropical low to form off the coastline of the Carolinas. They do give it a 10% chance of becoming a tropical low pressure and then potentially even as high end as a tropical depression, but I would be shocked if it becomes a tropical depression. I would be shocked if it becomes even a tropical depression. I personally don't see it getting much more than just a low pressure with heavy rain and winds of like 15 to 20 miles per hour. Wind gust of like 15 to 20 miles per hour. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? But I can tell you, it's definitely not going to become no hurricane. Well, Ben, I mean, I read it from like 6 different sources that all said the same thing. And then Pete just said that it was from a former FEMA employee, which contradicts the 6 things I read. You gotta be so careful. You gotta be so careful with what to trust on the internet. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Be careful, Lee. Chasing is very, very dangerous. Be very, very careful. But in terms of target area for tomorrow, if you're aiming for Missouri, yeah, like central to northeast Missouri is a good target area. Depending on exactly where I am, I would either target either over Oklahoma City or around Oklahoma City, somewhere around Oklahoma City. These would be my 2 target areas: Oklahoma City or near like Macon, Missouri. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is still the director of FEMA, or at least the assistant. Let's see. Let's go to what in the tornado warning? Little unexpected there. A radar indicated tornado warning just got issued east of Clearwater in northeastern Nebraska. So make sure you're in your safe spot if you are in this area east of Clearwater, northeastern Nebraska. Yeah, he's the acting director. I see that too. Pete. I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter if it was a joke or not because it's still posted out there, you know? Now you've given people the impression that you had no idea what hurricane season even is. Even if you were just joking, that's a horrible joke to make publicly. It's not. It's really. It's not a joke. I mean, if he said it, there ain't no way it's a joke. But in my opinion, joke or not a joke, it's horrific either way. To me, it doesn't matter either way. That's a horrible look on you. I don't care if you meant it as a joke or not. All right, there we go. So yeah, there's your little area rotation. See if we got a closer radar site. Nah. Definitely an area rotation. I see why they issued that warning for sure. So we'll keep watching that. Make sure you are in your safe spot east of Clearwater, Nebraska. I think there's 180, like 189 people in this warning. I will go double check here. 186. Dang it, I was 3 off. I apologize. I was 3 off. I thought the 6 was a 9. 186 people in this tornado warning, 0 schools and 0 hospitals. That's still a lot of people who need to be seeking shelter. So if you're one of the 186 people in that tornado warning, make sure you're away from doors and windows and you are in your safe spot. Which the best safe spot is in your basement, away from doors and windows, and or in a storm shelter that is underground. If you have neither one of those, make sure you go to the most interior room, preferably a closet, most interior room of your house, lowest level of your home, and bring like a mattress or something. Wear helmets, just in case this is a tornado on the ground. But it is currently a radar indicated warning, which means a tornado is attempting to develop and could already be on the ground. So a tornado is imminent or possibly even on the ground if you are in this warning. Imminent or possibly even on the ground. What is that, Logan? No. I've never had that before. I haven't even heard of that before. Alright, let's see what warnings we are at. 1 tornado warning and 20 severes. So still plenty of severe weather. Our greatest severe is actually now out here in southeast South Dakota, northeast Nebraska, northwestern Iowa. It's right on the triple point, the triple point here of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. Tri-state area. And that's warned for 2-inch hail, 70-mile-an-hour winds. Whoa! Look at that text. Look at that thing. Thing's going across the whole screen. Blooper. I didn't check this scene before stream. Just a text going across the whole entire screen right there. You have a friend that lives in Lincoln, Nebraska? Yeah, they're good tonight. Not in a severe watch. Probably going to get some rain very late tonight, but likely nothing that's really severe. Yeah, I was expecting them to do that. They just upgraded this severe to 70-mile-an-hour winds. You could see those velocities much more intense than 60 miles per hour, potentially as high as 80-mile-per-hour winds. So they went ahead and upgraded that severe to 70-mile-per-hour winds possible. Wouldn't be shocked if it actually is producing a little bit higher than that, going into Sharon Springs and Wallace here in west central Kansas. Accidentally made the text size on OBS 560 in the middle of the stream instead of 60. Took up the whole screen. Yep. I've had that happen off of stream, but that little blooper you just saw right there, don't typically have those too often. The TRG blooper reel. Oh, man. Most of that would probably just be completely me mispronouncing and butchering names. Let me see here. See, that's still our outlook for severe weather today. Let's see the 2% tornado risk. Okay, so yeah, our second tornado warning of the day is actually inside the 2% tornado risk this time. The first one was not. The second tornado warning of the day is indeed inside of our 2% tornado risk, and this thing bugged. Gotta refresh weather-wise. It's right in the radar hole, too. Like, come on, man. Why you do me that like that? I have, Pete? Really? Because it feels like I've gotten worse. Whenever Lucky is back on here, he did indeed graduate from, or not technically graduate just yet, but he finished his last day of high school today. So if he sneaks on in here, if he calls me, then we all gonna have to wish him a happy graduation of high school. But his graduation isn't till like early, like no, mid-June, somewhere around like the 15th or something, somewhere around there. But today was his last day. I wonder if he is able to call. Oh, no, he definitely isn't. Today's Monday. Yeah, no. No. If I do get to talk to him tonight, it would be like 11 o'clock. Maybe he'll tune in tomorrow. He should be in a lot more live streams. He should be in a lot more live streams now that he's done school. So, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. A lot of live streams, apparently. We'll see about that. Now his excuse is laziness. Or food or sleep. It'll be something around that realm. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. We're at 88 likes. Like goal today is 100 likes. Also, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button with a notification bell set to all. It's greatly appreciated. We're not wrapping up just yet. We're still going to stay live here for a while longer. It is an enhanced risk for severe weather, so I wanted to do at least over an hour live stream. We're coming up on 2 hours here. Do land spouts form on outflow boundaries? I don't think they can form on outflow boundaries, but they could probably form because of outflow boundaries, yes. Like, say, theoretically, say that an outflow boundary is like this. And it's attached to the end of this storm. A land spout theoretically could form here if the ingredients are high enough. Specifically the spin. So like a low pressure being close to a storm, or just a very potent outflow boundary with high shear in place. I feel like I might have seen that before, Ben, where velocities or something like spins on the outflow boundaries, but I don't believe I've seen a reported case yet of a land spout forming on an outflow boundary. But then again, my memory is horrible, so. I don't think it's impossible. I bet it's happened before. I mean, a land spout typically is going to be able to form with any area of enhanced inflow. You know, it's going to have a chance to form, especially if you have good ingredients in place. So, yeah, it's not impossible. I just haven't seen it personally, but it would not surprise me if an outflow boundary could develop a land spout. Because they do enhance vorticity, which is why outflow boundaries can sometimes cause areas of rotation and help form tornadoes. So it would not surprise me, but I haven't put research into that. We can do a quick Google search. See what Google says. Land spouts can form on outflow boundaries as these outflow boundaries push away from thunderstorms. When two outflow boundaries collide, they can create convergence. This convergence, along with pre-existing rotation in the surface and the strong updraft, can lead to formation of a land spout. Okay, but is there any reports of that actually happening, or is it just theoretically, or is it actually reported? Let's see. That's a really good question, though. That's a really good question. So, can they form on outflow boundaries? Yeah. Yeah, they can. I just feel like it would be pretty rare. You're going to have to get a perfect interaction between two outflow boundaries at a good timing. All right, let's see. That new severe, still 70 mile-an-hour winds for Sharon Springs, west central Kansas. Fort Stockton severe, of course. Fort Stockton severe. 1-inch hail, 60 mile-an-hour winds for Fort Stockton in Texas. Yeah, this line is like dead. This line is dead. The entire line itself is sub-severe. Still could see wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour on it, but I don't think this thing's going to be forming no 90 to 100 mile-an-hour winds anytime soon. Tornado warning was canceled, by the way. They've canceled that early. We're probably going to conclude here shortly. So, if you guys have any last-second questions, like Tornadic just said right there, that was a really good question. See, I'm still learning about the weather too. I don't know everything about the weather. I never thought about that before because, like I said, outflow boundaries enhance vorticity. So if two of them collide, man, yeah, I could see that forming a land spout. If there's one city you can almost always count on getting storms, it's Fort Stockton. Yeah, I should just move there. I really should just move there. If I do move, I don't know if I'm ever going to move. I feel like the perfect state to go to for chasing is like central or southern Missouri. Or somewhere in Arkansas. Tornado threat in Wisconsin. I don't think there's going to be much, really. I wouldn't completely rule it out, especially in southeast Wisconsin, but personally, I do not see much at all happening for your tornado threat in Wisconsin. The best chance for a tornado would definitely be between 5 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern. 5 to 9. Tomorrow evening. Bunch of severe watches. Look at all the severe watches. So we're going to keep seeing a bunch of severe storms tonight. But we are getting a little bit further down on them. And there you go. They did just upgrade this to a destructive severe. Just like I was saying could happen before. They did go ahead and pull a destructive severe thunderstorm warning for Sharon Springs and Wallace in west central Kansas. So that is a PDS severe thunderstorm warning. Dangerous situation for the potential of 80 mile-an-hour winds going into Sharon Springs, west central Kansas right now. We have some very weather-wise people in this channel. Huh, that sounds familiar. That sounds very, very familiar, right? Like it sounds like that name right there. Very familiar name. Yeah, so if you look here, that's definitely pixels of 80 plus mile per hour winds there. Pete, that's wild. Dude, that's crazy. So that's your area of 80 to potentially as high as 90 mile per hour winds, barely east of Sharon Springs in west central Kansas. This is a PDS severe, so you probably... Oh, it is observed. Wind threat has been observed by what? Automated weather station reported 7. I don't think 71 is 80. I may not be the best at math, but I'm pretty sure 71 is not 80. Interesting. Interesting how 71 is the new 80 now. I never knew that. Learn something new every day. That's a first for me. So 71 mile per hour winds have been observed here, and thus they've issued a 80 mile per hour severe. But there is definitely the chance for 80 mile an hour winds. Velocities pick up as high as 90 mile per hour wind gust. So just a little surprised that they put the wind threat as observed. But 80 mile an hour winds has been observed apparently, as you can see here. Actually, yep, it's right there. So 71 mile per hour winds have been observed, but also 80 mile an hour winds have been observed. That's confusing. What my guess is, this is my guess. My guess is that 71 mile per hour winds warrants a higher end severe because it's no longer capable of producing 70 mile an hour winds. It's capable of producing greater than that. So, for instance, say you get a report of 65 mile an hour winds. Well, thus that warrants maybe a 70 mile per hour severe. I guess that's their thinking with it. What I thought it was is if there's a 64 mile an hour wind report, that still means 60 mile an hour severe. But if it goes to like 65 or 66, where you round up to the nearest tenth, then it's going to go up to 70 mile per hour severe. But like I said, apparently 71 mile an hour winds is now 80 mile an hour winds there. But velocities do indicate that this storm is capable of producing 80 plus mile per hour winds here in Sharon Springs, Kansas. So just make sure you're in your preferably safe spot. I would highly recommend getting to your safe spot if you're in Sharon Springs or Wallace, West Central Kansas. It's weird seeing how the NWS issues these different things when they have situations like this. If there's a 71 mile an hour wind report, do you go for a 70 mile an hour severe or 80 mile severe? It depends on the office. That's the answer. It depends on the office. I've seen both. It really depends on the office. Any storms that do form out in this area here will be capable of large hail up to about 2 inch in diameter. Southwest Nebraska, northeastern Colorado. But out here back in Sharon Springs, Wallace, still getting velocities of 80 to 90 miles per hour here. So still definitely a destructive severe. These storms remaining as wind and hail being the biggest threats. Still a severe storm out here in... Oh, well, it just expired. Never mind. Yep, it literally just expired as I went over to it. So that's no longer in effect. That line already hit the Twin Cities, too. So the southern side of Twin Cities in east central Minnesota still could get some thunderstorms over the next hour, hour and a half. But they are starting to clear out, which is good news. Also starting to get a lot weaker. So that's your area of destructive, damaging winds there of 80 miles per hour. Still a destructive severe in effect. We'll switch over to that scene, actually. There you go. Observed destructive severe. We are at 15 severe, so we're decreasing. And overall severe warnings, we are decreasing. And I think that's going to stay the case. I really don't expect to see much more severes here in terms of like a significant uptick. Like we had our uptick up to about like 22 or so severes whilst we were live. I don't expect to see anything higher than that. We're back down to 15. Antarctica weather is just weird. Don't try to understand it. Yep. I've researched a lot about US weather, but outside of the US, like, yeah, one of the other areas I really want to be interested in is like South America, the southern hemisphere. See how weather works further south. But we're mainly US is what we cover the absolute most of. But we've still also covered like South Korea. We covered a typhoon, I believe it's called over there. We've covered Australia. Philippines we've covered 2 or 3 times. Haven't covered Europe yet. I have not covered Europe yet. Looks like this severe is weakening just a bit. Velocities are definitely decreasing. They're still at 80, 75 to 80, but they are decreasing. By the way, this is likely corruption. If you're wondering why I'm ignoring this, this is likely corruption. They sure do, Pete. Yes, they do. The southern hemisphere's supercells look so weird. Their hooks are like this. Their supercells are like that. It's so weird. I can't even draw it. It's so weird. It actually might go the other way. So, yeah, I think it's... So your hook would be like this. I can't draw it. It's messing up my head. Let's see. I'll get a picture of it real quick. Let's see. Nope, not this. I can't even find a screenshot of it, but I've seen him before. Okay, there you go. So it's like this. The one I have here is like this. So your hook is this way. And then the base of the supercell is back out here. So that's what it would look like. That would be like a huge eagle split supercell in the southern hemisphere. They would literally be upside down. It's so strange. And then, of course, your hurricanes south of the equator, they're going to rotate the opposite way. So instead of, our hurricanes rotate like this. Because that's where our low pressures rotate. So they rotate, that way, counterclockwise. And in the southern hemisphere, like down here, your low pressure is here, but they rotate this way. They go the opposite way. Wish I could loop satellite. It's so strange. That's why I want to learn more about the Southern Hemisphere's weather. See, that's what I was expecting them to issue originally. Observed 71-mile-an-hour wind report, thus they issue an observed 70-mile-per-hour severe. But they actually went with observed 80-mile-per-hour severe. Thank you guys for hitting 100 likes. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I appreciate you guys for hitting that like button 100 times now. Right on the equator. Tropical storms and hurricanes don't form on the equator. But I don't know about supercells. I believe it's actually physically impossible for us to see tropical systems on the equator. Yeah, see, it is not possible. It is not physically possible for hurricanes to form within 5 degrees latitude of the equator. It is not possible. Let's see. What about tornadoes? I don't know about tornadoes. Yeah, it doesn't say anything. It just thinks that tornadoes are hurricanes. But I would say it's probably... I don't know. I don't want to comment on it because I have no idea. But I do know hurricanes cannot happen on the equator. I remember I researched that a long time ago. So I have no idea about tornadoes forming on the equator. Alright, so we're going to wait for that destructive severe to expire in 7 minutes. We'll be live for that. I just wanted to continue a bit longer because that is a destructive severe, so I didn't want to end under a destructive severe. We were live for the first destructive of the day and the second tornado warning of the day. But look at our line now. This is our line that was apparently supposed to produce upwards of 90 to 100 mile per hour winds. And there's not much left of it. Now it's starting to merge with another area of convection up here and another area of convection down here. But our actual line that formed back in eastern New Mexico, the far western panhandle of Texas, it's still fully subsevere. And these are your storms that exploded along our front out there in Nebraska. Let me go and show you that satellite imagery. Let's loop it all the way. So this is a 200 frame loop. High definition satellite imagery on the storms firing on our front out there in Nebraska. That was one of the main reasons I went live today, because I knew it would be very rapid and crazy intensification. Is the sun setting? Look at my window. Yep, it's setting. It's not fully set yet, but I could tell because of satellite. It gets darker on satellite towards the end. Let's see. Look at all that smoke, man. That is just insane. Look at that in Georgia. Give you a full continental US view. Jeez, dude. Wow. Just a little bit of smoke. Just a little bit of smoke. The PDS Severe was canceled, by the way. PDS Severe was canceled 5 minutes early. Actually, good question about air quality alerts. I do not know. I want to go see those. Put you guys back on the normal satellite. There you go. I just went to the NHC for air quality alerts. My goodness. Actually, mainly in Minnesota and central Wisconsin. There's some in west central Ohio, but not nearly as much as I was thinking. Not nearly as much as what I was thinking. The entire state of Minnesota, though, is under air quality alerts. And like I said, central and northern Wisconsin, and then just a handful of counties in west central Ohio. Let me go over here. Still 16 severe storms in effect, but we're going to lose a bunch of them in 3 minutes. We'll probably get some more severes over the next 3 minutes to kind of extend for any of those severes that may expire. Which severes expire in 3 minutes? So this one expires in 3 minutes. That's probably not going to get a new one. Let's see which other ones. Okay, these expire in now 2 minutes. We could get a new one on this. It would not shock me. That hail core is pretty good. Probably won't get a new one on that one in northwest Iowa. New severe out here, though, for our line. Our line is back severe. It took about, I don't know, 40 or so minutes. New severe for, I think that includes, yeah, Dodge City, Kansas included in that. All the way down to Coldwater in south central Kansas. There we go. Uh-oh, we got a HARP person in chat. Let me tell you this. Why do you think HARP causes severe storms? Do you have visual proof of HARP causing severe storms? I need proof of it. Because HARP is legit just frequencies. It's just frequencies to help study the Earth's atmosphere. Like 600 miles above the surface. Is that, hold on. Let me get this back here. So there's 71 mile an hour wind report. Yeah, there's an 80 mile an hour wind gust report from law enforcement in Sharon Springs. That is probably what warranted the 80 mile an hour severe. If I had to guess, that's probably what warranted it. Not the 71 mile an hour wind report, but that's weird because on their warning text, they said the 71 mile an hour wind report. They didn't include the 80. I don't think these velocities are correct. So you're saying HARP is responsible for cloud seeding, which is legit carried out by government or local officials and can only marginally enhance things, specifically in California where we have droughts. And yeah, cloud seeding is real, but it only can affect so much. It can't form full thunderstorms. You might want to look into that before you say it's HARP's causing it. Because cloud seeding can only be done when a cloud is fully formed. There's already a good updraft going and it's already raining, and then they use cloud seeding to enhance it. And it's typically only done in drought conditions, most commonly in California. Yeah, I was waiting for that, honestly. I was waiting for that new destructive severe. That's for Goodland, Kansas. A new PDS severe. And that actually has an EDS tag. So that is an extremely dangerous situation tag right there. Again, you haven't told me any proof about HARP or anything like that forming thunderstorms. You haven't said one word about it. You just say it's real and then have no actual evidence to back it up. Because guess what? There is no evidence. The only evidence of HARP is radar glitches, which is literally caused by the radar itself and technology. Because guess what? Technology has bugs. Shocker, right? That's cloud seeding. That's not HARP. That's cloud seeding. And tell me this. Tell me how HARP, which is in Alaska, can affect a operation that was taken in Vietnam. How does that work? How can it go from Alaska to Vietnam? HARP is in Alaska. How does that affect us here in the South Central US? Or in Vietnam with the operation that you keep bringing up as your only, quote, evidence, even though it's clearly cloud seeding. And again, cloud seeding can only be done in a very local area under government supervision, and is typically used for just helping droughts disappear. Goodland, Kansas, still in a severe for 80-mile-an-hour winds. It does have a EDS tag, which means it's an extremely dangerous situation. Likely due to the city being, or rather the town, in a direct path of this 80-mile-per-hour severe. That's likely why they gave this an EDS tag. EDS tags are most common when it is a very intense thunderstorm heading towards a trailer park or a mobile home park. Climate change doesn't stop. Like, what do you mean? Climate change has always been a thing. You know what it is? It's weather changing. You know how the seasons change? Climate change. You know why we experience hurricanes in some months and not other months? Climate change. You know why things are getting cooler and also warmer at the same time, and sometimes years are much hotter than other years? Climate change. You know why some tornado seasons are more active than others? Climate change. Not HARP. And climate change has been around since Earth. because the climate changes. Kind of logical that the climate changes. Is that a boundary interaction? Look at all those outflow boundaries interacting right there. Bunch of them all interacting west of Goodland. So hurricanes in New York. Hurricanes in NY is in New York or what? Hurricanes in New York is us. Hurricanes in NY, us normal all of a sudden. Talk about logic. When have you seen a hurricane in New York? When was there a hurricane? Recorded hurricane in New York. A tropical storm in 2013, not a hurricane. Tropical storm, ooh, Sandy, 2012. But those, that can happen. That can happen. I see, I think 2 hurricanes? Let's see, 17 since 1851. Yeah, Sandy being the most notable one. Oh, that's what I was looking for. 6 hurricanes since 2000. That's what I was saying. I forgot what I said there. But I meant 6. But that's normal. It's normal to have hurricanes in New York. Or near New York. Maybe not like a category 3 going right through like central New York or something, but like a hurricane barely clipping New York, or the outer bands of it clipping New York. Yeah, that's happened. But I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna head off here in just a bit. I have to go do stuff. I know there's PDS severe, so if you're in Goodland, Kansas, just make sure you're in your safe spot. I have to head off though, because there's stuff I planned for 9 o'clock. I could go another 30 minutes, but I want to get to it early, so. Yeah, this stupid spraying the skies thing, that's almost dumber than HARP. Ooh, the clouds are spraying us. The clouds give me headaches. Like, okay, sure, buddy. What about hurricanes starting? Okay, that just tells me you are stupid. That's what it tells me. That just tells me that you are straight stupid, and I don't even need to be debating with you. If you think hurricanes have just started in the Gulf, you are straight stupid. No more, nothing other than that. Let's look. Let's look. Let's see. How many hurricanes have happened in the Gulf? Let's see. 305. Since we started records in 1851. I don't know about you, but 1851 doesn't seem so recent to me. Yeah, because you're stupid. You triggered me because you're stupid. Hurricanes just started forming. Huh. Look at me. Whatever. Get out of my chat. You're banned. Bye-bye. Stupidity isn't welcomed in this chat when you're that dumb. Sorry. When you think hurricanes just started in the Gulf, that's where I draw the line. I was having a debate with you, trying to show you why it's not why HAARP isn't affecting us like crazy, and then you just pull that one out. Gulf's just started in the hurricane in hurricane season. Hurricanes just started, man. Yeah, sure. All right, I'm gonna head off. I'm getting tired. I can't even speak right. You doggone made my mind stupid. Thank you. Yeah, Brandon, whatever. Bye bye. You too. I don't even care about you either. I could care less. I cannot deal with people who think HAARP is a thing and it's affecting the weather, and who think cloud seeding affects hurricanes and causes hurricanes. And yeah, I just can't stand people like that. Go wear your stupid tinfoil hats and pretend that clouds give you headaches. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Mods from on chat. Sorry it got weird towards the end of the stream. Have a great rest of your Monday night. Goodbye. Stay safe, watch severe weather, and I'll see you guys in likely tomorrow's live stream. I apologize